Surviving Without Survivor specialist Phil and Alexa are back, and we are on episode 8 of our Disney rewatch series. How about that? Moving right along all the way to episode 8. That's pretty crazy that we're this far. We are doing Disney's 1999 animated classic, not the garbage that I won't pay for because I don't have Premiere access.
It's already garbage and you haven't even watched it?
Don't need to. I'm so mad that they're trying to make me pay extra. Mulan, Alexa, I can't help myself. Let's get down to business.
I was waiting for you to say that because I thought you were going to lead the episode with "Let's get down to business." So I had my pun ready, and then now I'm all thrown off. But I'm just going to pivot to the new Mulan, which I also haven't seen because why would I pay extra to when I already am not paying for my own Disney Plus account? Shout out to my cousin. But I'm just saying, I was one of those people who was like, why would they cut out the music at the new Mulan? The bops are bad in Mulan. Bops are bad.
Well, I'll Make a Man Out of You is great. That one.
That carries the movie.
It's the only one, though. Yeah, I agree. No, Mulan, in my opinion, is overrated. I find this one to be overrated. I think it's a very entertaining movie. I think it's got some really entertaining parts. And also a girl worth fighting for is great, in my opinion, just because the lead singer in that's voice is so bad. And all I can think about, like, while I was watching that, all I could think about was the outcry when Les Mis came out. And everybody was talking about Russell Crowe's not an established singer. They should have gotten somebody who could sing, blah, 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 blah. And that's all I could imagine was like, what about this guy? How do we feel about him? Like, that guy's voice is awful. Oh, my God. But I don't know. Maybe it works because his character is what his character is.
Yeah, I think it's because of the character. But yeah, that song gets an honorable mention. But I'll Make a Man Out of You, I will say, is like a top 10 to possibly top 5 Disney song. I was singing that song all weekend. I watched Mulan like 5 days ago. That song is so good, but they almost know that all of the other songs are so bad that they play it twice. Mm-hmm. They reintroduce the song when they're getting ready for the final battle scene. And in my head, I'm like, they know how good this song is. And nothing else. I can't even give you the names. I can't even give you the bops of the other ones.
You have the song at the beginning, which is "You'll Bring Honor to Us All." I don't know if that's the name of the song, but that's a line that for some reason always gets stuck in my head. And it's very annoying because once it's in there, it's really hard to get out. There's that one about like reflection in the water. It doesn't do it for me. That's like the lame version, Colors of the Wind. And then there's one later on, I think. I don't know. I got to look up Mulan songs.
I mean, the first one was catchy and like kind of funny because the scene was good because they were just talking about how like ugly and unappealing Mulan was. So that it was funny, but it wasn't. I wasn't like snapping along to it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I mean, this is our least boppy, but then again, when you actually watch it, so there's only 4 songs in it. That might be why. Yeah. There's only 4 songs. Bring Honor to Us All, Reflection, I'll Make a Man Out of You, and A Girl Worth Fighting For. And maybe it has something to do with the fact that they really weren't going for that type of really big, over-the-top musical movie. I mean, this is a bit more action-driven than a lot of the other ones we've seen. I mean, granted, all of them kind of have their action scenes, but this one has numerous hintings at death off screen throughout the movie, which we don't see all that often in these movies. So I don't know. I mean, you weren't going to have Hakuna Matata and all of that great stuff. We skipped over, I think in between was Hunchback, which I personally love, but we skipped over that one because Mulan is definitely more popular. But they might have been trying to go for a little bit more of like the not completely musical, because Toy Story had just come out. Really no songs in that. Toy Story 2 had come out, really no songs in that. And Bug's Life had come out, and there's no songs in that. So maybe they were trying to take kind of the Pixar approach here, but still have some Disney-esque to it. So they were doing more middle of the road where there's a lot of there's some songs, but it's not overwhelming like The Little Mermaid where every time they speak, they're singing.
Right. And maybe that has something to do with the actual content of the film, because you mentioned this in Peter Pan, and I think in one other movie as well, but this is one, there is like so much construction going on outside of my window. So apologies to everyone who's listening, but this is very adventurous. This is all about warriors and it's all about fighting. And Phil, I know we talked about how those are usually skewed towards the men, but obviously the main character is a woman in this one. So I think maybe like they're just trying to figure out the theme, but I did enjoy it. I don't think I wouldn't put this as like my top 5 Disney movies, but I feel like it's appropriately rated. I don't think anybody like goes out of their way to say Mulan's their favorite movie, but I think, Mushu is not the genie. And like
he's still great though. Mushu's got some zingers in there.
He's fantastic, but I think like the way they introduce him, I think they're trying to get the genie magic, and it's not quite there. But he is hilarious. I mean, I think he like carries his part of the movie. I think he's one of the best sidekicks of the movies that we've watched so far. But I don't know. I think it's good. I think obviously the message was a little bit different too, but I really liked the warrior theme. I remember loving that as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I guess more what I'm saying when I say it's overrated is I'm almost shocked that this one got a remake, like a live action remake. Because if you think about the other live action remakes, Cinderella, The Jungle Book, The Lion King, Dumbo even, and I know Dumbo is not as popular now, but Dumbo is the most popular ride at the Disney parks, which is shocking to me, but it's the most because I'm just shocked that like it's the most popular. That's how many kids go to the park, that is the most popular ride at the park. So you have that. But Peter Pan always has remakes, which always makes sense. This one's kind of surprising to me. I'm just a little surprised. And Matt C. Li Shang is very sexy. I'll give you that. There you go. Okay.
He's been needing some love. So.
I don't love the Li Shang greater than Sexy Daddy Phil, but I will give you the okay on that. Sexy
Daddy Phil is greater than Li Shang, but that's neither here nor there.
And here's Caitlin Mink. So maybe this is maybe I talked to too many Gen Zs, because she said I've noticed a lot of Gen Zs will say Mulan is their fave, and I wonder what that is.
Simply
not true, by the way.
I don't know what I mean. Mulan isn't my favorite, but yeah, I guess I don't feels famously hangs out with a lot of Gen Zers. But I bet they chose this as. I mean, there's probably a bunch of reasons why they chose this for a live action remake, but I think there's a lot you can do with the choreography when you have when you have like a warrior theme, when they're all marching and when they're fighting. There's a lot you can do with that. But at the same time, as someone who hasn't seen it, there's no music in this one, and there's also no Mushu. So they take away like one of the best characters, if not the best character, and they take away, the one song that like really works with the warrior theme. So if anyone has seen the live action Mulan remake and has an opinion, please leave a comment below.
Yeah, and Logan Ledger says, female heroine that is badass could be the reason. That's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I said, this only happened because of Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast was the beginning of the end for American civilization, and now here we are at Mulan, where it's just a female warrior. Alexa, you know how I feel about this. Yes. No, but I really do. I mean, I could see that for sure, and also maybe this is kind of what people became used to. Like, I was born in 92. So when I'm born, I'm used to the singing Disney movies. Like, that's what was happening when I was born. Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast were all right there. We were on the cusp of The Lion King, Hunchback. Those were very heavy on songs. And then you start to get into, like I was saying, the Pixar type movies. So maybe people like Mulan more from that generation, maybe the people who were born in 98, 99, because they're coming off the heels of Pixar, coming into Mulan. And then on the heels of that is a lot more Pixar, Monsters, Inc., Shrek, like these. And I know that one isn't Pixar. Nobody kill me. It's DreamWorks. I get it. But I know I was waiting for that to just pop up immediately.
I was going to bring that up.
Right. But so like when you look at that, maybe that's why Mulan hits a little bit more with that age group. Maybe it's just because it's not overly musical, but there's enough in there that it's different than what everybody was used to seeing.
I think so. And I think this, I think this movie has a lot of really good one-liners and really good zingers that they intertwine with the culture. And they probably have done this with other movies, but they haven't been as obvious. I see, someone says, who's spitting her bean curd? And like Mushu says a lot of just like really kind of funny, like topical cultural zingers. And I think that's them like winking to the parents who are watching with the kids. And I really like that.
Which is good. I'm glad they start doing that more in these, because in the earlier ones, I didn't feel like there was much winking. Maybe the parents have a sense of humor in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, because I don't feel like there was as much winking going on back then as there is now.
I got a lot of winks on this one. There's a few others.
But one of the funniest parts of this movie, in my opinion, is when they're skating down the avalanche. When Mushu's skating down the avalanche, and he thinks it's Mulan, he picks it up, and then when it's not, he just puts it back down. Like he just murdered that person. Like I think that like it's very dark humor, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, and when Mushu says, I don't know what the context is, but he goes, "Say that to my face, you limp noodle," which is freaking hilarious.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of like little. I mean, Mushu's a great side character, and also this definitely just leads into how great Eddie Murphy ends up being in Shrek 3 years later, whenever the heck it was. I guess it was 3 years later, but when he ends up being Donkey in Shrek, like this was essentially an audition. It was like, all right, dang, you're a good sidekick character. Come on, we need you.
Yeah, what are you doing in a few years?
Yeah, I mean, it just lands there. But no, I mean, I look, I do like Mulan. Maybe I'm saying it's overrated, but again, I think it just goes to the. I'm kind of surprised that they made it into a live action. It makes sense. It is something. I guess when there's human main characters, it's easier to make it into a live action too. I mean, that makes a little bit more sense. Even though it seems like they try to go with the animated ones. What?
Little Mermaid. When is Little Mermaid coming out?
Probably never at this point.
Excellent point. Because I remember when they announced Little Mermaid, everyone was like, "Oh my god, how are you going to make a mermaid?" As if they've never made a movie with a mermaid before. But
I know. Has nobody seen Splash? Like, are we kidding? Are we kidding?
I was gonna say, has no one seen Aquamarine?
That's another great one. I mean, how like these are like very. I mean, Splash was made in 1984. There's a mermaid in that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Okay, so what else? I mean, do we talk about "I'll Make a Man Out of You"? Do we talk about that whole scene? Do we want to talk about?
Let's talk about the premise. How do we feel? I mean, so how do we feel about the open to this movie? First of all, so Mulan is going. She's going to be told whether or not she's worthy. The matchmaker is an ogre, essentially. They make her about as unattractive as they possibly can. She burns her butt. She drinks a cricket. She does a bunch of stuff. She's very mean. She draws a mustache on her face with the writing from Mulan's arm. And then all of that goes into pretty much almost immediately the people come in and they're like, "Hey, we're going to war. What's going on? We need a man from every family." And Mulan's dad does his epic limp, which is very cool. Epic limp. I mean, they make that very dramatic, and he's going to go to war for them. And there's your movie. She doesn't know how to bring honor to her family. How could she ever do it? How could she bring honor? And she gets her way right then and there.
I mean, really, the next best way to bring honor to your family, other than marrying an eligible man, is to, go to war for your family. So I'm really glad that she took the highly secondary option to bringing honor to her family as a woman.
Yes. Well, yes. And this is a very, I would say that this is definitely like a feminist message, right? I mean, strong woman who goes and brings honor to her family by being able to save the day. Like, you have a big heroine here and all of that.
Love that.
Yeah, no, I see all of that, but I would also say, there's great points here about women in society. No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of putting in more jokes. But this one, I guess this one, it makes more sense than maybe in like Beauty and the Beast, because I'm not familiar really with French culture. I'm not really familiar all that much with Chinese culture, but I don't know if in like French culture, women are just meant to be like Belle was just going to rub Gaston's feet. In this one, like, I do know that generally in Chinese culture, men are more respected than women. So it makes sense kind of how they view her the entire time. And it's like the only way you can bring honor to your family is to be useful and marry a good looking man. But yeah, so that's pretty much the message here. And instead she decides to be a man.
Exactly.
That's the only way to overcome being a woman.
Exactly. There it is. That's where the joke was. You're sitting on it. There you go. But what I think is funny is throughout the movie, I can't believe I'm about to make this comparison, but bear with me. It reminds me a lot of She's the Man, obviously. Mm-hmm. How is it not a direct comparison? But I love, not to jump way too far ahead, but she's like, okay, it's like, oh, she's small. Like, she's not really smaller than everyone, because there's one guy I don't know his name, but he's like wicked short. He's like half her height. Mm-hmm. So doesn't necessarily stand out, but then in the water scene, she doesn't even change her voice. Like, she straight up talks like regular Mulan, and they just buy it. I feel like that's a huge continuity error.
They do that a lot, actually, in this movie. That happens quite a bit. That really does happen quite a bit. There. Yeah. She doesn't really keep the deep voice going. It's a little disappointing. Wish she was better with that. Come on,
Yes.
Mulan, you're dropping the ball. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the name of the. All right, hang on. Let's see if
Oh,
I can find it.
all the other side characters, like I couldn't really get their names.
Well, Donny Osmond was Shang, which I
Okay.
guess that makes sense. I mean, Shang is the main guy. He's the one who is like the captain's son or something. I don't know if they call him a captain or not, but he's the son there. I'm trying to figure out who plays the other characters. It's nobody really famous. Miguel Ferrer plays Shan Yu, which is the villain.
Okay.
That's a great.
Who doesn't talk a lot. Like really doesn't have a lot to say.
Good villain though, I think. I kind of like this villain because he's more of the brooding villain. Like, and we're coming off the heels of, movies like Hunchback and Lion King and Aladdin, where the villains are very focal in the movie. And I kind of like in this one that he's in the background a little bit. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I kind of like that he's just an imposing, I'm gonna kill you kind of guy.
I think that works because you have like the general, he's not necessarily a villain, but he's sort of like the first step of like someone she needs to impress or like someone who doesn't believe in her. So you kind of get like 1.5 villains throughout the movie.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Also, I'm being yelled at. Donny Osmond only did the singing for Shang. My bad.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Shang.
Sorry, everyone. Look, I'm on IMDb right now. They are not very good with this movie. I'll just say that. They are not killing it. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more here. They're really dropping the ball, and it's kind of frustrating me.
They are.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think he's a good bad guy. I think the Huns are like overall good bad guys, or good villains, I guess. The opening scene kind of reminds me of some Game of Thrones stuff going over the wall. That really brought me back to the White Walkers. But I thought they were good, and I think they didn't need, like you said, like the villains weren't super prominent, and really were only relevant like the first 30 seconds in the movie, and then like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then they come in really for the avalanche scene, which is a really cool scene. I mean, that's like a fun. I don't know, like there's a lot of cool visuals in this movie, and they do, I think, do a pretty good job with like all of the action and things like that. Like how they have like all of them coming up after they fired the two cannons, and they think everything's going to be okay, and then Mulan causes the avalanche and survives it. That she's Mulan, and if she died in the avalanche, that wouldn't be worth us watching. Yeah, that would have been bad. So no, I kind of like the villains though. I do. I think. I mean, they're also simple villains because it's essentially like the orcs in Lord of the Rings, where like it's just like they're obviously the bad guys. They're never going to be good guys. Yeah,
they're dressed in like black fur and they're in gray and they're like purple and green. Like they don't look like the good guys, so there's no relatability there.
And they have a cool hawk thing,
right? But you're right. Like, Mulan dies in the avalanche. That's pretty lame. But I absolutely love that the way that she did, like, what's the name of the head villain?
Shan Yu, I think.
Yeah, was when she defeats him, he tries to stab her and she catches it with her fan and then flips around and starts fighting him. I think that is a ridiculous yet hilarious touch.
Hey, it's the fan that she used at the beginning so that she could read her arm. It helps her in her moments of need.
Exactly.
So that's it. Let me think here. So while we were talking about this, Girl Worth Fighting For was in my head. And so I kind of like some of the transitions in this though, where they go from the really overly upbeat to the really dark when they're singing A Girl Worth Fighting For, when they're out on the march and everything's like singing and happy and whatever. And then it just cuts to the whole village burned out and they find out that the general is dead and all of that. Like, I think all of that stuff is really, really like well done, and it's cool because you're like, oh great, they're on their adventure, they're marching across. It's like, oh, they're probably going to show up and have to help people overcome stuff, and instead they just show up on like the wreckage of the rest of their army.
Yeah, so when I was listening to A Girl Worth Fighting For, the only one thing I could pay attention to, someone's singing voice sounds dangerously similar to SpongeBob SquarePants. Did you catch that?
Yeah, that's the really annoying voice. I don't know
is that the same actor? Are you still on IMDb?
I don't think it is. It
sounded so similar to SpongeBob.
I think you might just have similarly annoying names. I don't think it's Tom Kenny. I don't think Tom Kenny. But the only thing I could think about when a girl works for is when Mulan says about she's sharp of mind and can speak her mind or something, like has a brain and can speak her mind, and they're all like, no. And I was like, all right, song, I see what you're doing there. But it's just funny how they're just going all through pretty much everything that is said to her at the beginning of the movie by the matchmaker, which is like, you don't have this, you're too skinny, she actually says, like all of these things. And then later on in the song, it's what the men are singing about, to be like, this is what a girl worth fighting for would be.
Absolutely. I mean, the movie was getting too feminist. They really needed to dial it back.
They needed to, yeah, exactly. We don't have time for that. No, it is not the same person who does SpongeBob. Sorry,
upsetting. They sound very similar.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's just an annoyingly high-pitched voice.
Oh, yeah. I don't care what she wears or what she looks like. I only care what she cooks like.
Yeah, that one's great. I mean, that character is also amazing. I love that big character. I don't know like any of the sidekicks' names in this, but I don't know if they just don't say them all that often, but I really like that one.
Yeah, that line really spoke to me.
Yes. And I'm sure it spoke to that big guy too, because that big guy was very, very into it. He needed that. He's I mean, you see him, that's what he's concerned about. I also like the part where, what does he do? He picks up, I'm trying to think, they're like in a fight or something. He just like picks up everybody and moves them, but I can't remember what part that is. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. When does he pick everybody and move them? Alexa's got something going on over there. He's also the one who dips his toe in the water and then does a cannonball and pretty much drowns everybody. So that happens.
Yeah, I forget. I don't remember what that scene was. I don't know. But him cannonballing is unbelievably good.
Yeah. And then I like when she says, "I hope to never see a naked man again," and then every naked man in the army sprints past her.
It's unbelievable, and she sings out. That whole scene was very funny, and I was very curious how they were going to like tiptoe around that because it is a children's movie. I think they did a pretty good job.
I think they do a pretty good job a lot throughout this movie in terms of with the violence and with the nudity, because that is obviously how you would figure out that it's a woman, would be the nudity. You know, when she gets stabbed and it's like she's sitting up with a bandage around her stomach. That's how they know. It's like, no, kids, they saw something else. Mm-hmm. They got another type of hint there, and I think even Eddie Murphy's character Mushu, as his name is, I think even Mushu says like, "There's a couple of things in there that they're really going to notice," or something like that. Which I don't know. I just think it's funny.
It's so funny, but again, that's enough that like a kid will like register it, but the adult will be like, "Well, that's a hilarious line." Yeah.
The kid won't really understand because the kid's not like, the kid will just be like, "Oh, okay, there's something that they're going to notice. Aha, she's a girl," and it's like, yes, kid, that's all it is. Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Mulan climbing the pole to get the arrow with strength and determination wrapped around her arms.
Of course. I mean, that's how you climb the pole. To bring in a Survivor reference reminds me of the Vanuatu opening challenge. How about that, kids?
Which is exactly why I wanted to bring it. When he was like, I'm going to make it more difficult, like covered in lard, and that's not what he did, unfortunately. But if JP was there, it was JP, right? Or was it John P?
It's
Brady. It was Brady, the FBI agent. If that's how much I remember the Vanuatu young men, I just know it wasn't Brooke. Brady is the one who is able to climb it and get it for the men. He doesn't actually pull an arrow, unfortunately, but Brady would have gotten that first night, and Mulan would not have been the hero of her own movie. So
Brady, the shining star of Survivor Vanuatu.
I know, Alexa, do you even know who I'm talking about? Seriously.
I actually do. And I remember this because remember when we interviewed Judge Sargent a few either months or years ago, and he was like, "Oh my God, there's this guy from Boston, and he was a pre-merge player." And you and I listed out every single pre-merge male from the first 11 seasons of Survivor, and he's like, "Nah, it's not Brady, it's not Brooke, it's not." And we were like, "We just named every single guy that's ever been voted as Survivor. Like it has to be one of them." And it was Brady. It ended up being between it was either Brady or Brooke, and he texted us like a month later, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's who it was."
Oh, and it was Brooke because Brady's from California.
Correct. Brooke is from Boston, apparently.
Boston.
Yes,
You can
yes.
say it the right way, Alexa. You don't have to. You don't have to change your accent for us.
Boston.
But yeah, so I just thought that moment, I was like, oh my God, it really is like the first challenge for Vanuatu. It just made me think of that. And then this is going on while I'll Make a Man Out of You is playing. And I honestly think that we might have to watch the Survivor Vanuatu opening with I'll Make a Man Out of You playing. I mean, I think it might be the only way to actually be able to do this now, to make it more epic when Brady does eventually conquer whatever it was. All I can think about nowadays is imagine if they did that on Survivor. They would never do that anymore, because if Brady falls and gets injured, like once Courtney Moon broke her wrist, there was no way Survivor was ever doing a challenge like climb this lard covered pole ever again throughout the rest of time.
But then again, I remember during Game Changers when Phil's favorite player of all time, Andrea Belke, like,
she almost died.
It happened to Michelle too, just like falls off of that pole and falls like what looks like 25 feet.
My whole thing, and I know this is getting off topic, why do they insist on making those poles like 25 feet tall? Why can't you just make them 7 feet tall and be like, hold on, don't slide down? Like, I don't get that. But yeah, Andrea and Michelle both eat it really bad. I mean, especially Andrea, like she legitimately almost broke her legs. So all I can think about is like, if that was Brady, I mean, it's just dangerous. And I'm glad Mulan was able to do it with weights tied around her arms. And she was the first one to realize that if you wrap it around, it actually strengthen determination, help you, or strengthen discipline, help you, rather than
determination's useless. It's all discipline.
Rather than weighing you down. That's the message there, kids, in case you didn't see it. And I know a lot of people are probably like, wow, Phil, how did you come up with that?
And especially when they use that same tactic at the very end to climb up to the top and win the battle. So really comes full circle.
Drag or something.
Correct.
And Rachel, and by the way, this is Rachel. When they're about to fall off the cliff, that's when big guy picks everybody up.
Hey, Rachel. Wow. Did you are you in live chat? Whoa.
She's right next to me too. So this is really awkward. But anyway, they use that at the end and they climb up and they all do it together. And what I like about this part is that the three guys are the ones who like pretty much put on like I don't know, is it the geisha outfit or whatever it would be. And they put on those while Mulan doesn't. And then Shang gets away with not having to do that either. Like, I do like when our sidekicks are put in like the humiliating situation or like the joke situation and not our heroes. But I just thought it was funny. I'm like, you actually have like a woman with you here who like could also do that role without needing to like put the biggest guy who is blatantly a man or the one who has literally a beard in this outfit.
Yeah, but I think they're still adjusting to the fact that she's a woman because, they couldn't really quite accept that she was good at what she did.
Yeah, and how did you feel about them getting very angry with her once she was revealed to be a woman? How it was like, you bring dishonor to your family, we hate you. They wanted to chop her head off and they didn't. It's like she just saved all of your lives, and this is how you repay her.
Yeah, that must have not felt great for Mulan. Yeah, they wanted to chop her head off. I thought that was a bit of an extreme reaction. A
little extreme. I mean, and also it would be like, okay, so we're just gonna like cut Mulan's head off after you save literally everyone because she was a woman. I'm like, I don't know. That's a pretty big turn there. I mean, I think you might be able to make an exception like in one way or another, but hey, I wasn't part of the Chinese army in whatever year this was meant to be. So
yeah, I mean, maybe you'd want to cut her head off. You just don't, you just don't know.
You just don't know. Very weird. Well, Alexa, I'm glad we went down that route.
I am too. One thing that did bother me, I don't like mutton chops on a person, and that side character, he really kind of owned them. It reminded me of that character. Did you watch Westworld? It reminded me of that character in Westworld who had just like the most unnecessarily large mutton chops.
Yes, I watched. Well, are you talking about the guy from the first season, right?
Yeah, because every other season of Westworld is trash. So
I didn't watch season 3. That would have been a waste of my time after the season 2 finale, which was garbage.
I couldn't even make it to the 4th episode of season 2. I couldn't.
Oh, see, I kind of liked season 2, and then they were just like, "Hey, by the way, here's a steaming pile of poop, and that's your finale." And I was like, "Hey, can't wait for season 3 to never be watched by me." But yes, no, that also for everybody in this movie, like I feel like they tried to make everybody look like they would like. They're part of the army. They'd be part of the Chinese army. That guy did not look like he belonged at all as a part of their unit there. He does talk about how he would want the woman to be impressed with his strength and big muscles or something. But yes,
discipline.
Yes, and he's the one who fights all the time, and Mushu actually calls him out and like forces Mulan to fight him. And he has like a black eye for like almost the entire first half of that movie, which is great.
Yeah, like the whole movie he has that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it quite get explained. Does it happen?
What happened?
Why he gets the black eye?
I don't know why he has it when they first meet, but then the second time it's because he fights Mulan, and then they all have the big tussle, and then Shang comes out and he's like, "I'm going to make a man out of all of you," and then I guess he does.
And then he does, and that's really the entire
Matt Miller. This movie takes place sometime between the 4th and 6th century. Good to know.
Helpful. We were not going to know that.
No.
Yeah.
I would have been way off and sounded really, really stupid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else? What else are we missing about Mulan?
What do you think about the ending of this one? In terms of the battle scene that ultimately kills Zhang Yu and makes Mulan the hero, and then Shang comes to her village and the grandma's in the back like, here's horny grandma. Here's horny grandma. Like, I hope he stays. He's good looking. All of that.
My grandma or my mother would do that exact same thing. Like, he's a cute boy. What's he doing over here? On the nose there. I think it's a great battle scene. I think it's probably one of the better ones we've had. I really liked the Little Mermaid like ending battle scene, but I think when you have like two, it's not just like Gaston versus like the Beast. Like you have two like groups of warriors fighting each other, so that's always going to be better. I think the snow and the avalanche is a really good touch, and it was long too. It wasn't like, oh, you stabbed me and now I'm conveniently falling backwards. It was like there was a lot to it. So I thought it was a pretty good ending fight scene.
Yeah, it goes on and on. I always find it weird, the beginning of it. I always find weird when like they're at the place and they're like, here are your heroes. And she's like, no, I saw them. They're alive. And then like, I don't know. I always find it's like weird for them to actually get to the battle scene. And then once it happens, it's great. But I feel like they were just like, hey, we need 5 pages of script. Somebody get me something real quick so that we can get to the fight. But then once they actually get to the fight, I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. And I like how they like bring in, like you said, all the earlier things, all the throwbacks throughout about like, you know, here's how they climb up and here's what she does with the fan. And then, I don't know, Mushu just being Mushu and the cricket being Lucky and all of that fun stuff.
The cricket is a odd character.
Does the cricket have a name?
I didn't write one down. I actually wrote the bug, so you got more specific than I did.
Which I think they do say it's a lucky bug numerous times.
It's a lucky bug. Yeah. I like that. I think they do a lot with something that can't really talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they actually call it anything other than like just lucky. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I like the last fight scene here. Cool that they kill Zhang Yu with just a bunch of what do you call it? Fireworks. Like, just blow them up. Goodbye. Caitlin Mink says his name is Cricky. There you go.
That is so uncreative.
No, that is unbelievably creative. Alexa, what are you talking about? Most creative name of all time.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No, I don't really either.
Yes, very weird way to kill a villain. I guess they were trying to. Crikey.
Crikey.
I think, yeah, I mean, I liked it better than just like another bad guy falling off of something.
Yeah, I know. Finally, because this would have been the easiest one to have him fall off of something. They're at like very great heights here.
Yes, exactly. So I appreciated the creativity that they took. Fireworks sound like a pretty rough way to go, though.
Yeah, probably. He probably did not die instantly. Let's just put it that way. That probably hurt very, very badly. Just want to let everybody know that probably was not peaceful for that poor man.
Yeah, make sure to tell your children when you tuck them in at night.
How do we feel about Mushu being recognized as one of the top shelf guys now? I like how they call him top shelf, like he's like an expensive alcohol. That's absolutely amazing.
I like that. I thought that was fun. I like, especially when Mushu first gets introduced, how all the ancestors are like, this guy sucks. Like, he's not going to be able to do anything. So they already like, he's already walking in with a chip on his shoulder. But I think I think it's good. I love how they introduce him, and I think incorporating the ancestors is like a funny intro and outro for him.
Yeah, I agree. And I like his little like dance party that he does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously important. Definitely. I feel like that was a scene where Eddie Murphy was like, you know, it'd be funny if I just did like a dance party after this. And they're like,
and everyone's like, okay, yeah, we'll
sure, throw it in there, Eddie. Go ahead, do it, whatever.
Hey, it worked. I mean, Mushu is like objectively the best character in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think it's close. I don't know who else would even be near it.
No.
So,
how do you feel about Mulan? I know we already kind of covered the bops. How do you feel about Mulan in comparison to the movies that we've watched so far?
it's probably one of my least
Yeah.
favorites.
I just think in the bottom half. This is number 8, so yeah.
Yeah, it's the 8th one. I mean, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast are obviously ahead for me. I'd probably give Peter Pan the edge, Jungle Book.
I'd put this above Jungle Book for me. I wasn't crazy about Jungle Book.
Put this above Little Mermaid. Or, I mean, I'd put Little Mermaid above this for sure. It'd probably be between like this and Snow White for like my bottom 2. I'd probably put Aladdin above this one. Even though, as everybody knows, Aladdin is just not my favorite, but that's just me.
Yeah, you just have to come with the singing voices.
Yeah, I just have to be annoying and tell everybody how much I dislike it every time it comes up. But I would probably put it down more towards like the bottom for sure. I don't know. I mean, we did this one instead of Hercules. I mean, I know that probably hurts you, but
I feel strongly about Hercules. So
you're also Greek AF, so
Greek AF. That I never thought those words would come out of your mouth. Yes, this was upsetting. Hercules is a favorite of mine, possibly because I am half Greek, but also possibly because the bops in Hercules are tough to beat. But we're not recapping it, so I won't.
Yeah, that is not going to be our next one. I hope everybody's very disappointed by that. It's Mulan and Hercules. Okay, here's one. I guess Hercules does have live action remakes. And I know this isn't what we're talking about, but like, why does Hercules not have like a Disney? Why has that not been a Disney live action remake? Like, why has that not happened yet? I don't understand. Like, I know maybe it has, but it's been like one of those crappy Disney remakes. It wasn't like one of those like, we're gonna put Jon Favreau directing it and we're gonna like put all our time and effort into this. I don't understand.
I think so. One reason why I don't know if they would or don't know why, because you have a great main character who's like a goofball and like he's funny and he kind of sucks, and you have Meg who's such a good love interest because she's way more badass than Hercules. Maybe the reason they don't do it is because you have like gods and you have to do that whole thing. But then again, they did a whole Planet Earth episode of Lion King, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they do a mermaid, so.
And not for nothing, all of the gods are very human. Like, so how hard would that really be?
Human. Yes, you just give them clouds for hair instead of, yeah.
And like, I mean, with how visual effects and stuff are now, I mean, that can't be very hard to figure out. So I don't know.
Yeah, I hope they do. And like the fates, like there's just so much you can do with Hercules because there's so many characters. I guess Hades, like how do you do his hair? But again, it's 2020. They've done way weirder things. So
yeah,
they do Hercules.
They were like figuring out Beowulf back in the time. There you go. Caitlin Mink says, rumor has it they're bringing it to Broadway. Caitlin Mink, that would mean Broadway would be back. What are you talking about?
I was about to say, as someone who lives in New York and is thirsty for some Broadway, it is upsettingly not happening. That being said, I would totally watch it.
They're not doing that till what, May now? Is that
what about the spring, sometime in this, because I know they're Rachel J commented, Hercules slaps. What are your thoughts on that, Phil?
Rachel's on the other side of this door. She's just going to say that to me later anyway, and it's stupid. It's not. I don't really like Hercules, and she knows that.
Her opinion is correct.
She knows that I don't really like Hercules that much. So.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Phil mentioned, we are not going to be recapping Hercules after this. We're actually going to be recapping the final 2 movies are 2 movies that I have never seen.
Which is insane.
And says everything you need to know about me. But if you've been paying attention these last 8 episodes, you will know that I've never seen any movie ever. And Phil has seen way too many movies, which is why our relationship is so good because it's all about balance. Mm-hmm. Our next episode is going to be recapping The Princess and the Frog, which I'm super excited to watch. I hope it's as good as everyone says it is. It sounds like it is. The theme seems very New Orleans-y, which seems like a lot of fun. Phil, what are your thoughts on Princess and the Frog?
Dr. Facilier is one of the great villains of all time. I love Dr. Facilier. I can't wait to talk about this one. This was obviously my idea because Alexa hasn't even seen it. And wait until we talk about the next one that she hasn't seen.
That's gonna be tough. I meant
ridiculous. It like made, I literally was like, no, did I spell that wrong? Are you sure? Did I spell what? Like The Princess and the Frog, I can understand like how you missed this one because it was kind of missed. It came out at a weird time. I'm not sure what it was up against, but I'll have all that information for next week. But it came out at a weird time. I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't see it for the first time until like last year, which maybe I got a voodoo curse on me and I brought COVID here by watching Princess and the Frog. That's all it took. But no, I'm very surprised with the last one, our 10th in this series, that you did not see. That one kind of blew my mind. But Princess and the Frog will be a lot of fun. I am a huge Dr. Facilier fan. I cannot wait to talk about him. Alexa, though, we pretty much did 25 minutes of planning before this episode. What do we have coming up?
Well, how far do you want me to tease?
Yikes. I mean, I guess you could just tease everything we have confirmed.
Okay, so buckle up, everybody, because we are in for an exciting 2.5 weeks coming up. So tomorrow night is a big night. First, we're going to recap Survivor China episode 5, which is the arguably like one of the best challenge throws. We're really excited about this one. So we're going to be recapping that at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then right after that at 9 p.m. Eastern is the premiere of The Amazing Race Season 32. These poor contestants filmed this like 2 years ago, and it was just never going to hit the air. And luckily, CBS was so desperate for content that they decided to let these wannabe reality TV stars become actual reality TV stars. So that is happening tomorrow night. We're going to watch that from 9 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. And then right after that, at 10 p.m. Eastern, we are going to recap. So for those of you who are new, we are the Amazing Casuals. When we recap Amazing Race, I have never seen a full season of The Amazing Race. Phil has seen a couple, ? And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So obviously don't expect the caliber of knowledge that we usually have as Survivor, but it should be a ton of fun. And honestly, any live TV show right now is something to be excited about.
I agree. And it's crazy that the live TV show we're going to be watching is 2 years old. I feel like we finally now know what it's like to live in one of those countries where they don't get Survivor till 3 years after it airs. And they're like, oh, I'm watching Survivor 30 because it just came to this country. They finally got the rights to it. So I feel like that's what's happening with Survivor or with The Amazing Race here, but that'll be fun. I'm very excited to do The Amazing Race for sure. And then, Alexa's just going to have to watch every episode and not shock me like in The Amazing Casuals the first time. Will and I were halfway through an episode and Alexa was like, oh, that sounds cool. And we were like, did you not watch this? And you were like, no.
Cool.
Yeah.
The good thing is that this go around, I actually, I have somebody who really loves The Amazing Race. So I will have someone to watch with me that can actually explain to me what a U-turn is and will actually possibly make me care. But next week, but wait, there's more. We are going to be recapping episode 6 of Survivor China with none other than the person voted out in that episode, Sharia Lloyd. We have confirmed a time with her. We're talking to her next Thursday at 6 p.m. So instead of keeping that on Wednesdays, we're actually going to scoot that to Thursday to keep with their schedule. The day before, we're going to be recapping Amazing Race episode 2 and Princess and the Frog. And finally, this is just confirmed as of tonight, on Thursday, October 29th, to finish out the month, we are going to be podcasting with Peridium. And we've been wanting to work with him for a little while. We met him when we were hosting the Wrestle Hands Show Top 100 Survivors finale. And we finally set a time for a collaboration with him. So stay tuned for more details on that. We're really excited to talk to him. Phil, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you missed anything. I just want to give a shout out to all of our patrons who are competing in the TRHS versus Survivor Specialist online reality game. It is intense. There's a lot going on over there. It's so thorough, and Denise, who works with Russell, just put in a lot of effort into this, and me and her were discussing some of it, but I won't even attempt to take any credit because she put in a lot of effort. But the specialists are killing it right now. 4 episodes are out. I haven't watched episode 4 yet. I only watched the first 3 episodes. Yeah, they're killing it. But it was one of the fun things where Russell had said that he had done it with Fair Play's group and he wanted to do it with our patrons. So we did it with our patrons. For the most part, I think our patrons had a good time. The fact that they're acting like survivors who just got off the show, I would say that they had a very good time. Like, they are excited to give us little behind the scenes details and things like that. So it's just one of the perks of being a patron. I don't know if there'll be another game quite to that caliber, because I'll be honest with you, Alexa and I are not going to put in the amount of effort that Denise put in because it was absurd. But It was a really cool idea. It's really fun. And it's actually, I found out, being edited by one of our very own McKenna Feeney, who is giving herself the Heroes edit. So there you go. All these perks here, everybody, that you need to learn about. But if you're not a patron yet, go over and be a patron. Alexa and I have recorded pretty much almost all of our bracket for the episode bracket for best Survivor episode ever. Different criteria for each round. So that's been a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked that out, become a patron. That's only for our $20 patrons, but it's a lot of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much what we have going on. Our patron group has been great. We've had daily content going now for almost 100 days. So think about that, kids.
Yeah, and for those of you who are considering becoming a patron, I think all of our most of not all of our $20 patrons can say that being a $20 patron now is almost better than being a $20 patron in the middle of a real life Survivor season. We're really trying to make up for the fact that there isn't any live Survivor going on right now. And I think both us and our patrons have really gone out of our way to make it a better experience. And like Phil said, the Facebook group has been blowing up. We've been having a lot more just like one-on-one conversations with our patrons. So now's a really good time to become a patron at any kind of tier. We have $1, $5, $10, and $20 patrons, but obviously $20 patrons are getting all of the love right now. So do what you can. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're at like 9,100 subscribers on YouTube. We really want to hit 10,000. So hit that subscribe button, tell your friends, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow night for our recap of the 5th episode of Survivor China, and then our recap of the live premiere of The Amazing Race. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.